Takumi is summoned to another world by mistake, but he cannot return to his original world. However, in return, he gains incredible skills and decides to live in this new world. So the episode begins with the spirit of a person named Takumi, who finds himself in an unknown place. Suddenly surrounded by light, a woman named Nolan, a sorceress capable of summoning anyone to any location, speaks to him. But she explains that he was accidentally summoned to Midgard along with a group of people. It seems that the summoning, intended to bring others, mistakenly brought him as well. Takumi doesn't understand her at first, so she clarifies that she wanted to summon people randomly from multiple worlds, but the spell she used is very dangerous. The laws of this world are different from those of Earth, and there's a risk of the collapse of Midgard itself. Takumi asks if the others who were summoned are here, and Nolan replies that they are not. The correct targets of the spell should have been safely brought to the Holy Empire of Sidonia. Takumi realizes that it was just an accident, and he asks her to send him back. But Nolan becomes flustered because she can't use the spell again, and besides he no longer has a body to return to. Takumi grows angry, not knowing what to do, and asks her what will happen to him. Nolan tells him he must live a new life as a resident of Midgard. Takumi asks to be sent to Sidonia, but Nolan refuses, saying the Holy Empire of Sidonia is full of problems and that, since he was brought here by mistake, he would be treated poorly there. After feeling guilty, Nolan decides to send him to a different land with her magical support as an apology. She transports him to a fantasy world similar to video games, novels, and anime. Takumi asks if there are monsters and dragons, and she confirms there are all sorts of things. After looking into Takumi's background, she sees he was an office worker in his world, so she decides to make him a hero and a warrior, as there are no office workers in Midgard. She grants him many skills, like swordsmanship, magic, and knighthood. She tells him that if he exploits the skills he gains from his actions, he will be able to earn a profession, and if he desires a crafting job, she will grant him a useful spell for it along with healing magic for his protection. At the end of their conversation, she sends him to the continent of Asgard. Takumi wakes up in Asgard, confused and disoriented. He stumbles upon a lake and is surprised to find his appearance has improved. He decides to forget about his past and sits down to eat. He finds that he has a stockpile of food and some money. When he checks his skills, he decides to test them and uses water magic, wind-cutting magic, and a stone ball spell. He is overjoyed by how fantastical this world is. He then explores the forest, hoping to find a nearby village. Along the way, he finds a high-quality piece of wood, which he recognizes as useful for making magical staffs and magic tools, as well as for crafting spear poles. Excited, Takumi decides to use his blacksmithing skill to craft a large spear. Then he wonders what other resources this world holds, so he collects many plants. However, his small bag can't carry everything, so he remembers the toolbox he has and stores the items there. Suddenly, he hears a girl scream and sees a huge rabbit chasing her. The girl hides behind him and asks him to save her from the rabbit, as these rabbits in this world eat humans. Takumi, frightened, gathers his strength and strikes the rabbit with the spear, killing it and gaining the warrior skill. So the girl thanks him, introducing herself as Molly. Takumi asks where she is from, and she says she's from the village of Bord. She had been gathering medicinal herbs and got lost in the forest. Takumi decides to accompany her back to her village. When they arrive, he opens his toolbox to place the rabbit inside, but is surprised because he didn't want to open it in front of Molly. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, 3 people from another world find themselves in a palace, confused about how they arrived. Elizabeth, the first empress of the Holy Empire of Sidonia, appears before them and thanks them for responding to her summoning. So one of the individuals asks where they are, and Elizabeth explains that this was a different world entirely, and they were summoned here to use their powers as heroes to save this world. They don't understand what she's saying, so she promises to explain further later, and introduces herself as Empress Elizabeth. Back with Takumi, after arriving at Molly's house, her family thanks him for saving her. He meets her parents, her father Banga, a hunter, and her mother, Martha. Takumi asks if he can stay in the village for a while, and Banga agrees, explaining that the land is rich in ingredients for making medicines, and that there's a nearby source of raw materials. Takumi is introduced to Bubin, a blacksmith who knows a lot about mining raw materials. Takumi is welcome to stay. Grateful, Takumi thanks them, and they inform him that there are no available inns in the village, so they will build him a small house. Banga speaks with Takumi, apologizing for the small space, but explaining that it's all they have. But he urges everyone to start working. Takumi begins using his magic to build his house, but soon becomes exhausted as he has drained most of his mana. So Banga approaches him and tells him to leave the next steps to him. Takumi, feeling a sense of accomplishment, thinks to himself that his new life has begun. Thanks to his skills in woodworking, blacksmithing, and carpentry, he was able to create some furniture, and now he can change them as needed. He's happy that he has iron, silver, copper, and magical iron, which he mined with Bubin, and that the magical iron is now saturated with mana. He decides to turn them into ingots, knowing that normally this would require a large furnace, but since this is a fantasy world, he can try something different: alchemy. Alchemy consists of 5 techniques: disassembling, extracting, grinding, creating, and reassembling. Takumi uses earth magic to extract iron ore and transforms it into iron ingots. He's excited and keeps refining them, thinking of all the things he can make from iron and copper. Meanwhile, Molly approaches and finds Takumi collapsed on the ground with everyone gathered around him. Takumi explains that he got carried away and used too much mana, causing him to lose consciousness. So Martha scolds him for overexerting himself. But after taking a healing potion from Banga, Takumi explains that he was able to extract iron, silver, copper, magical iron, and small amounts of lead, tungsten, and tin, which allowed him to craft kitchen tools and other items. His alchemy level has increased significantly. Later, Takumi learns how to craft weapons and says, "This is the finest piece I've made. Once I craft the sheath, it will be complete." He then goes to Banga and asks if he has any raw materials left. Banga confirms that he does, though they are all basic materials. Takumi mentions that he is considering trying to make potions using the medicinal herbs he collected, and Banga agrees, saying that when Takumi completes them, he can sell some to him. Takumi starts experimenting with alchemy, mixing crushed Hellcoke herbs with water. As he mixes, the color changes, and he recalls experiments he did as a child. He realizes that the color has changed, and that he can feel mana within the mixture. He wonders if this is because he used water magic to prepare the water. He is eager to learn more potion recipes. Takumi later ventures into the forest, eating herbs but feeling tired. He performs a purification spell on himself, thinking that while this method is a bit extreme for gaining resistance and enhancing state magic styles, it's necessary. Thanks to this, he can now use purification magic. At that moment, a monster approaches Takumi. He gets frightened and tries using magic to fight it, but it doesn't work. He notices the venomous spider behind him, but sees that the spider was injured by the monster. Takumi realizes that his magic isn't affecting the monster, and he must try something else. He casts another spell and finally succeeds in killing the monster. Takumi then goes to help the injured spider, healing it. To his surprise, the spider wants Takumi to tame it. Takumi is amazed and names the spider Maple, and the spider happily accepts its new name. The villagers are amazed by Takumi's victory over the large monster, a boar, and they are scared of the tamed monster. Banga remarks that everyone knows monsters like insects cannot be tamed, but they are glad because they are going to have a feast with the boar's meat. Banga also mentions that the boar's hide, tusks, and skin remnants can be used to craft leather armor, and if Takumi heads to a city, he can sell the leftover skin at Bolton City. Friend of Banga notes that the village has become brighter thanks to Takumi, though he isn't the type to stay in a small village like this forever. The scene then shifts to Lona, who is pleased with Takumi's progress. Her friend explains that she gave Takumi a special body, but more importantly, she sent him a whole year into the past, before the Holy Empire of Sidonia cast its summoning spell. The episode ends with a teaser for the next one. The narrator invites viewers to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell to stay updated on future episodes. Our episode today starts with Takumi being super mad at his spider friend Maple. Turns out, she wrapped him up completely in a cocoon while he was sleeping. She apologizes, explaining she was testing how strong her silk was and had no one else to try it on. Meanwhile, Takumi is deep into making potions and working on other projects, barely paying attention to Maple. Well, she feels a bit ignored, so he apologizes and promises to take a break and play with her. She gets so happy she starts dancing with joy. Just then, their friend shows up with some food. She walks in on them playing and is totally shocked, thinking something else is going on. Once she realizes what's happening, she picks up some of the silk and says, "Wow, this spider silk is amazing." She decides to make clothes out of it, and the results are stunning. The silk is so luxurious that only nobles can afford to wear it. She asks Takumi if he can make the silk even stretchier, and he agrees to help. But later, Takumi notices Maple having a great time, so he decides to keep himself busy too. With so much work to do, he thinks about heading to the city to study alchemy, but he's not sure how to explain his departure to the villagers after living with them for almost a month. And next, we see Takumi visiting the blacksmith, who has crafted him an outfit made on around in steel. The boots are sturdy enough to kick through almost anything. While he's there, Banjo shows up and tells him, if you want to make real money, you should head to the city. There's more demand there, and you can sell tons of stuff and rake in a fortune. This village is too small for big profits. Banjo adds that Takumi doesn't need to worry about travel expenses because a merchant from Bolton will be arriving next week. They've arranged for him to hitch a ride in the merchant's wagon. Takumi is overjoyed and thanks them for their kindness. Later, we see Martha holding some rabbit guts from one of Banjo's hunts. Takumi is surprised and says they need to be thoroughly washed with water and lemon to avoid diseases or parasites. Unfortunately, since they don't have lemon or any cleaning materials, they'll have to throw them out. But Takumi uses his chemical abilities to treat the guts instead. Martha is super grateful, but warns him not to use his powers too openly. She explains, only a few people have skills like yours, and those who do make a living off them. If you start doing things for free, people will get mad at you for ruining their business. Some might even come after you. After that, we learn that Takumi spends a whole week crafting new items, preparing for his upcoming journey. Takumi also built a large wall around the village to protect it from monsters and created a water pump so everyone could have free access to clean water. Later, Babik welcomes Takumi and thanks him for agreeing to travel with him. Before leaving, Takumi gives Banjo a special bottle and says, I've sent 100 of these bottles to your house. And if anything happens in the village, you must distribute them to everyone immediately. The merchant is shocked and asks what the potion is. Takumi explains that it's a primary healing potion. Babik is amazed and can't believe Takumi made it himself. As the villagers gather to say goodbye, Martha gives Takumi a beautiful cloak. They all bid him a warm farewell, and he thanks them sincerely for all they've done for him. Takumi leaves with Babik and his group, feeling sad because he's grown attached to the village and its people. On the way, Babik talks to Takumi, telling him how much the villagers adore him and see him as family. Soon the group of adventurers traveling with them introduces themselves. They're a C-rank team called Lion's Fang and serve as Babik's personal guards. One of them notices the bag Takumi is clutching tightly and asks what's inside. Takumi casually replies, "Oh, it's my killer spider." So everyone is stunned that he managed to tame such a creature. Rail, one of the adventurers, asks to see it. So when he tries to get close, the spider hits him, as it doesn't like being disturbed while sleeping. Takumi explains that the spider is scared of humans and the outside world but has taken a liking to Boger, another member of the team. Babik then asks Takumi about the potions he made, expressing interest in buying one. And just as they're talking, they sense something nearby. Babak stops the carriage, and they find themselves surrounded by a group of goblins. The adventurers leap into action, asking Takumi to stay put. They make quick work of the goblins, gathering their magical stones before continuing their journey. When they finally reach Bolton, the capital of Barcola, Takumi is amazed by everything in the big city. It's his first visit to such a place. He accompanies Lion's Fang to the Adventurers Guild, where they report the success of their escort mission. Takumi decides to register himself at the guild to stay in the city, and even registers his spider, Maple, as his pet. Next, Takumi heads to the Alchemist's Guild, only to find out there isn't one in Bolton. Instead, most people use the Adventurers Guild for identification purposes. He decides to remain at the lowest rank, as it only requires him to complete one simple mission a month to maintain his status. Afterward, Takumi visits Babak's company. In Babik's office, Takumi delivers the potions he had promised, surprising Babik with their high quality and effectiveness. Babik is thoroughly impressed and begins planning ways to work with Takumi in the future. Babik then asks Takumi about pricing: 10 silver coins for each healing and stamina potion, and 50 silver coins for each mana potion. Takumi quickly does the math in his head and realizes he could make a fortune. He's shocked by the potential earnings, but Babik apologizes, explaining that the prices are lower because Takumi hasn't built a reputation for himself yet. Takumi can't help but wonder why Babik is helping him so much. Does he have a hidden motive? However, Babik doesn't seem like the type to deceive others. Babik shifts the conversation to Takumi's living arrangements. He suggests that if Takumi wants to work as a producer, he should live in a house with a workshop. Takumi declines, explaining that he's only just arrived in the city and doesn't have the savings to buy a house. Babik then offers another solution: renting a place. He assures Takumi that his company can recommend a suitable home. Babik calls for his assistant, Thomas, and asks him to take Takumi to the house they had discussed earlier. When they arrive, Takumi is amazed by the beauty of the house. It's spacious, functional, and perfect for his needs. Takumi can't believe such a place is being offered to him. Thomas tells Takumi the rent is 1 gold coin and 50 silver coins per month. Takumi thinks to himself, "That's so cheap. It seems I can even use the storage room as a workshop. I'll be able to cover the rent easily with the money I'll earn from the potion deal." Turning to Maple, Takumi says, "This is our new home." Thomas asks him if he likes the house. Takumi replies, "It's beautiful, I'll take it." Thomas assures him that everything will be arranged so he can move in tomorrow. Before leaving, Takumi asks a question that's been on his mind since he arrived in the city. Thomas explains, it's the smell of the sewers. Nobles use magical purification tools to treat the waste from their estates, but those aren't used for the city's main sewers. Occasionally, priests are hired to purify them, but the process isn't consistent. To get more purification tools, we'd have to excavate them from ancient ruins or dungeons. The next day, Takumi and Maple move into their new home. Takumi begins fixing the exterior walls. He mixes mortar with clay he bought from Babik's company, using magic to mold it. Once it dries, he enhances it with heat manipulation magic, shortening the drying time with spatial temporal magic, and stabilizes its condition with alchemy. Exhausted from using so much mana, Takumi is thrilled when the repair turns out perfectly. Suddenly, Takumi hears someone shouting. He finds that Maple has wrapped Babik in her silk. Frustrated, Takumi scolds her, saying only kids enjoy pranks like this. However, Babik, looking very relaxed, says, "This silk is so comfortable it's making me want to take a nice nap." Takumi apologizes, but Babik laughs it off, saying it was a bit surprising, but no harm done. As Babik heads to the restroom, he comes out moments later, yelling, "What is this?" Takumi responds, "I installed a magical purification tool. After you're done, it disintegrates the waste." So Babik, amazed, asks, "Can you make 100 more of these?" Takumi replies, "It should be possible as long as I have the materials." Babik is overjoyed, saying, "You'll need extra hands for this. I suggest contracting a servant. Given your talents and preferences, a servant bound by a secrecy contract through magic would be ideal. They could help manage your workshop and protect you." The Babik continues, "You seem to have an affinity for light magic, which makes you a chosen one, according to the Church of Light that leads the Holy Empire of Sidonia. They recruit anyone with an affinity for light magic and profit from exploiting their healing abilities. I doubt they'd ignore the purification magic you've incorporated into this restroom. I have some ideas about how to gain support for this project, but we'll need to ensure that no one finds out who's behind it." So Babik insists, it's wise to make a contract with a servant. Takumi firmly responds, "Hold on, I'm against the use of slaves. I don't feel the term is acceptable. If it means contracting with a slave, I'd rather handle everything myself." At that moment, Takumi receives a message from the Adventurers Guild. "So you have been assigned a task that must be completed at a suitable level within 1 month of registration. We apologize for the inconvenience during your busy schedule and request that you visit the Adventurers Guild before the deadline." Tababik offers to accompany him, saying Mulan Company is the most reliable slave trading firm in Bolton. Reluctantly, Takumi follows Bibik but waits outside the company while Bobik steps in to handle his business. Takumi wanders into the garden nearby and is captivated by its beauty. There he encounters a stunning young woman who catches his eye. She glances at him and unexpectedly says, "Go home." Takumi is left puzzled and intrigued by her abrupt words. And so, today's episode of this anime comes to an end. Stay tuned for the next episodes. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with all the latest content. Our episode today begins with Takumi at the slave market, looking to purchase someone to assist with his work. To that moment, he spots a beautiful girl and is captivated by her looks. However, she tells him, "Go back home, kid. I don't even know how you got in here. This isn't a place for children like you." And meanwhile, we see Mulan, the owner of the trade company. She welcomes them and is introduced to Takumi by Bibik, who explains that Takumi is looking for a servant to help him with his tasks. But Takumi seems hesitant, which surprises Mulan. She asks, "Why is that?" Takumi then explains, "In my homeland, where I was born, signing a contract to own a servant is against our customs, and I honestly don't understand much about it." Mulan takes the time to explain things to him. She tells him, "Here in the kingdom of Barkala, there are certain rules you need to know. When signing a contract with a servant, the owner is required to respect the servant's basic rights, provide food, clothing, and shelter. Neither party is allowed to harm the other in a way that threatens their life. Forcing a servant to do tasks that aren't listed in the contract is strictly prohibited. And, according to Clause 3, a servant is not allowed to share financial information with others." Afterwards, she goes on to explain the common types of contracts. Some people become servants due to debt, regardless of the reason, and they enter into a binding contract until the debt is repaid. Criminals can also choose servitude as a means to secure a way to earn a living. Traditionally, war refugees may accept contracts to secure a place to stay. There are also illegal cases where people are forced into servitude by bandits or raiders. Babek then speaks up, telling her, Takumi is a hardworking, skilled individual with talents that others can't easily replicate. So he's looking for someone to help him with everything, including tasks from the Adventurers Guild. Ideally, this person would manage his personal affairs at home, assist him in getting to the guild, and even fight alongside him. Takumi sums it up, saying, "I need someone to manage the mansion, fight, and serve as a personal bodyguard." So Mulan responds, "That sounds like you're looking for two servants, not just one." Just then, the first candidate enters and introduces herself. Her name is Maria. She tells them she was kidnapped by bandits as a young girl and has no family. She's been trained in reading, writing, accounting, and general household work. Takumi decides to be honest with her and explains. The mansion has a living room, dining room, and kitchen on the first floor, and on the second floor, there are 4 rooms and a bathroom. Will it be too much for you to handle alone? Maria replies confidently, "I should be able to manage that amount of work by myself, God willing." Takumi is delighted and tells Maria that she's truly cheerful and funny, and she'll be able to handle a lot of tasks for him. However, Maria gets angry, her face turning red. Clearly, there's been a misunderstanding. She firmly tells him, "I can only handle general household duties. I'm not going to touch you or sleep with you." Takumi is shocked and quickly clarifies, "That's not what I meant. I'm a Muslim, and such things are only permissible after marriage." So with that misunderstanding cleared up, they proceed to sign the contract. Mulan instructs Maria to return to her room and pack her belongings. Takumi then mentions that he wants to see the girl he encountered earlier when he first entered. He explains that his intuition tells him she might have great strength. They eventually meet her, and we learn her name is Sophia. She was captured during a war almost 50 years ago. Sophia is from the ancient kingdom of Ugar, and for various reasons, she hasn't formed a contract with anyone. Some of these reasons include a large scar on her left ear, partial paralysis in her right hand and leg, and a sealed racial and phantom magic unique to elves. Although these impairments don't significantly hinder her daily life, they make her unsuitable as a primary fighter. Takumi, however, insists on speaking with her privately. After Mulan leaves, he introduces himself to Sophia, then approaches her and gently holds her face to examine her more closely. And using his special glasses, he discovers surprising details about her condition. He realizes that if he can treat her ailments and break the seal on her magic, she could become an incredibly valuable fighter. Mulan re-enters the room, skeptical, and tells Takumi she won't be of any use to you. Takumi confidently replies, "I'll fix these issues. I'm capable of doing that. Perhaps a djinn has possessed her, and I'll exorcise it and break the magic seal." That's when Sophia will be reborn, reclaiming the ability she hasn't been able to use for over 50 years. Takumi is entrusted with Sophia's care. He speaks with her, asking her to be honest about whether she finds him unbearable. Sophia replies firmly, "There's no need to concern yourself with the wishes of a servant." They continue their conversation as Mulan enters, informing them that everything is ready and the paperwork is finalized. At that moment, Maria joins them to express her gratitude to Takumi. She's overjoyed that he is contracting with Sophia too. The time comes to use magic as proof of the contract. The ritual begins, and the magic is invoked to seal the agreement. After completing the process, Maria and Sophia thank Takumi sincerely, promising to work hard so he'll keep them for many years to come. The next morning, Maria and Sophia arrive at Takumi's home to begin living with him. Though they're shocked to find a beast with him. Takumi reassures them, "This is my pet. His name is Maple," but then takes them on a tour of the mansion, showing them their rooms. The mansion has many rooms, so each of them gets one of their own. so he encourages them to unpack and settle in. Takumi also mentions a large bathroom equipped with a magical tool that keeps it perpetually clean, so Maria and Sophia head off to take a bath. While bathing, Maria confides in Sophia, "I was so worried that Mulan wouldn't let me go. She's never approved of anyone leaving with a customer, no matter how much they've paid." Sophia responds, "I caught a glimpse of the contract Mulan prepared. Most of the master's details were left blank, even his birthplace and lineage. As if he's hiding that much, there must be some special circumstances, or sharing certain information might cause trouble for him. I wonder what he's thinking." So later it's time for dinner. Maria and Sophia join Takumi at the dining table. Maria feels disappointed when she sees the meal, saying she had wanted to prepare dinner herself. Takumi reassures her, "This is your first day here. Starting tomorrow, you'll handle everything." Sophia then asks, "Will you let us sit with you during meals?" Takumi responds, "I don't want to do everything separately just because you're my servants. I want to share everything with you." He also requests, "Please don't call me master, just call me by my name." They all sit together and enjoy their meal. The next morning, Takumi visits Babik's company to collect the items he had requested. Shababik hands them over, explaining that they've been securely packaged and advising Takumi to handle them with care. On his way back home, Takumi notices a church and decides to step inside. There he finds a statue of Nolan and offers his thanks, reflecting on what she has done for him. He recalls hearing that the Holy Empire of Sidonia governs this land. Takumi recalls hearing that the Holy Empire of Sidonia imposes control over certain religions. He reflects, "This isn't right. The only true faith we should follow is Islam." At that moment, Nolan, the Jinn, appears before him, leaving Takumi stunned. She greets him warmly and explains that she has come to clarify a few things. She assures him she has no direct connection to any religion, but acknowledges that Islam is the path to follow. She also mentions that some Christians align with her teachings and have established a church under the influence of the Holy Empire of Sidonia to promote Christianity. Nolan offers to train Takumi, granting him new abilities through rigorous practice. However, she warns that challenges will grow more difficult, including encounters with those harboring ill intentions toward him. Takumi expresses gratitude, saying, "Everything I've experienced, the kind people I've met, and the amazing places I've visited, it's all thanks to your blessing." And Nolan smiles and says, "I'm counting on you to decide the course of events." So the scene then shifts to the Holy Empire of Sidonia, where the king discusses the summoned heroes. A man reports that 3 of them are currently training under Master Homo and Master Packard. The king expresses his desire for the heroes to grow into a great force for the Empire, noting that they were initially hesitant. However, with Elizabeth's persuasion, they are now fully committed to helping. Then we see Akira and Yamato training intensely. Their instructor urges them to fight harder, warning that their current performance won't be enough to survive on the battlefield. Elizabeth approaches Akane, who refuses to train with the others, and insists this strength is essential to save our world. Akira reassures Akane, promising to protect her no matter what. Back at Takumi's home, Maria and Sophia are worried about him. When he arrives, he reassures them but retreats to his room, asking not to be disturbed. Sophia notices a magically sealed package with Takumi and grows curious. Meanwhile, Maria keeps an eye on Sophia, warning Takumi that if anything happens to her, she'll hold him accountable. Later, Takumi notices a wound on Sophia's hand. Using his power, he heals it, saying, "This is from the curse on you. But finally, I've managed to cure it." So Maria explains that Sophia's condition has been like this for a while. Any sudden movements or emotional stress exhaust her. Takumi uses his abilities to heal all of Sophia's injuries, removing the curse's effects. From this moment on, Sophia is capable of fighting again. The next morning, Sophia wakes up feeling significantly better. She shares her relief with Maria, who assures her, "Takumi doesn't want to harm you. He's the best person you'll ever meet." Maria is thrilled for Sophia as everything about her seems to have returned to normal. Sophia goes to thank Takumi, who reveals that he discovered a magical cure for her condition, using highly toxic Nidim herbs he obtained from Babik. He explains, "Curing your condition enhanced my healing abilities, allowing me to perform advanced healing magic. I'll take care of everything from now on." And so, today's episode of this anime concludes. Stay tuned for future episodes. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest content. Our episode today begins with Takumi sitting in the library, browsing through its collection. To his surprise, there are only 4 books on chemistry. How could this be? It's a massive library, yet it has only 4 books on the subject. Perhaps it's because the library focuses on ancient magical civilizations. Thankfully, being in this new world, Takumi has the ability to understand all the languages in these books. The scene then shifts to Takumi sitting with Maria, who seems overjoyed. She says, "I can't forget what happened last night," as she recalls the moment between him and Sophia. Sophia had pledged her loyalty to him, like a knight vowing to protect her princess. So the next morning, the group was busy making toilets. Everyone was hard at work, striving to earn a living. Takumi knew he had to fulfill the merchant's order today, but after such a long day, they deserved a break. They decided they should go on an adventure to gather rare materials, try unique dishes from specific places, and explore some ruins. Takumi planned to take Sophia along as his personal guard, while Maria would stay behind to defend the house. As for Maple, the spider, he'd come along too. Maria, feeling left out, bursts into tears and cries, "Don't leave me alone." It's like abandoning a toilet in the middle of a desert. She apologizes for the analogy, saying it's because she's been building toilets all day. Seeing her like this, Takumi reconsiders and decides to take her along. He checks Maria's stats and finds that she's at level 14. Her stats are impressive. She's a capable combat servant. Sophia also insists that Maria should come along, promising to train her in combat and supernatural abilities. With the decision made, Takumi gets to work crafting weapons and armor for everyone. Sophia requests a long sword, a large shield, and a lighter buckler. Maria asks for a short sword or a small knife, but Sophia dismisses it, saying it's not sufficient and suggesting she use a spear instead. Sophia also promises to teach Maria everything she knows. Takumi begins crafting diligently. While Sophia and Maria train outside with their new spears, he focuses on making armor. However, he's too embarrassed to ask them for their measurements directly. Using one of his special abilities, he creates mannequins resembling Sophie and Maria. He also enlists Maple's help, asking the spider to produce silk for the armor. After several days of hard work, the armor is finally ready. The suits fit perfectly, allowing for easy movement. Maria, impressed, asks Takumi how he managed to make them so well fitted. Before Takumi could answer, Maple spills the beans. He used mannequins he made of you two. Takumi quickly interrupts, praising the spider silk for its excellent defensive properties. Both Sophia and Maria thank him for the effort. Takumi also gives them rings infused with magical mana. That afternoon, they head to the Adventurers Guild to register Sophia and Maria. Since both are rank E, Takumi wants to form a team. At the guild, a young attendant asks Takumi about a letter they sent him 2 days ago, containing missions. Takumi agrees to take on the tasks, 1 rank E mission and 1 rank C mission. While the payment isn't much, it marks their first official quest together. At that moment, the guild's troublemaker gang shows up, provoking Takumi and his group. They sneer, "Get lost, kid. Leave those girls to us, we're way stronger than you." So one of them, a big, burly guy with a beer belly, steps up to hit Takumi. But just as he swings, Takumi activates his petrification ability, turning the guy's fist to stone. The man lets out a loud, panicked scream. But a commotion draws the attention of the guildmaster, a man with an impressive handlebar mustache. Guild clerk rushes to explain, "Sir, there was a scuffle. That big guy hit Takumi first, but Takumi didn't do anything to provoke him." The guildmaster pulls Takumi aside and asks, "What did you do, Takumi? Is that some kind of advanced ability?" Not wanting to reveal his secrets, Takumi quickly explains, "Oh no, it wasn't magic. I just pulled out some coal from my toolbox, coated my upper body with it, and added a compound to harden it into diamond-like toughness. It's just chemistry." The guild clerk, recalling Takumi's earlier interest in joining the alchemy guild, suggests to the guildmaster, maybe we should promote them to rank D. That way, they won't have to deal with these idiots anymore. The guildmaster agrees, but on the condition that Takumi accepts some additional missions first. Takumi and his team accept the missions and set off on their next adventure. Their tasks include exterminating goblins, wiping out kobolds, and gathering merle herbs. As they venture into the forest Maple, the spider scouts ahead and spots 4 goblins hiding in the bushes. Sophia rushes in with incredible speed, taking down 2 goblins, while Maple ensnares the other 2 in his strong webs, finishing them off. Time flies as they clear out dozens of goblins. Sophia deduces that there's a nearby goblin camp, likely led by a military commander. Goblins of this level are categorized as rank C threats, and taking down such a camp usually requires at least 5 teams of rank D or higher adventurers. But Sophia believes that if the 3 of them combine their magic, they might be able to destroy the camp in a single powerful attack. And meanwhile, Maple announces to Takumi, "I'm about to evolve soon." Takumi quickly responds, "Not now. Get in here immediately." The team stealthily approaches the main goblin camp, which houses 300 to 400 goblins. They launch a coordinated magical strike, wiping out a significant number in one devastating attack. However, many goblins survive and the team is forced into close combat. Amidst the chaos, they confront the military leader, engaging in an intense battle. After completing their mission and returning home, they are greeted by a merchant named Babek. As usual, Maple welcomes him in his peculiar way. Unfortunately, Babek faints upon seeing Maple's spider body atop a human's head. So once revived, Babek informs Takumi that the ruler of Pluton wishes to meet him regarding his magical purification devices. Takumi travels to meet the ruler, who thanks him for creating a device that effectively purifies waste. "Thanks to your invention, our city has become much cleaner. It significantly improved sanitation and prevented the spread of infectious diseases. You've saved us from disaster, and I can't thank you enough for your efforts, especially since our knights had neglected their duties." Takumi humbly replies, "No need to thank me, your majesty. I was merely fulfilling the tasks assigned to me by both you and the guild." And with that, our episode ends. Stay tuned for the next one, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to catch all the latest updates. Our episode begins with Takumi proudly announcing to the girls that he has finally finished making the refrigerators. The girls are amazed by how beautiful they are, and Takumi explains that they can now store food inside them, but they should avoid leaving them open for too long. Maria is especially grateful, as this will make food preservation much easier for her. Sophia then suggests that they should take the Sky Refrigerator, while Takumi delivers the others to Babek since it's time for him to start his next project. Takumi then shares his thoughts about upgrading their equipment. Since they travel frequently and fight monsters, having better gear is essential. His blacksmithing skills have improved, and he now possesses a suit of armor made from magic steel, but he wants to craft a new set using mithril and adamantite. The scene shifts to the guild's receptionist, who informs Takumi that mithril and adamantite are rare materials, and there aren't many blacksmiths capable of working with them. However, he provides Takumi with a list of skilled blacksmiths in the city's outskirts. The receptionist also warns Takumi that fusing these two materials will require a lot of mana. He suggests an alternative, obtaining the materials himself through mining. There's a large mine in the city of Horus, northwest of the Barcola Kingdom, where he can extract mithril and adamantite. However, entry is restricted to Blacksmith Guild members. Another way to access the mine is by hunting the monsters that sometimes appear in its valleys. Takumi immediately agrees to this plan. Suddenly, the guild master appears and mentions that Bolton has recently faced a shortage of Trent wood, so most adventurers have been busy hunting black buffalo, leaving fewer people to collect the wood, which has slowed its availability. But he asks Takumi to hunt some Trent creatures, and Takumi agrees. The guild master then gives him another task, acting as a bodyguard for a blacksmith traveling to Horus. If he successfully completes these missions, he will be promoted in rank. Takumi asks how long it will take to reach Horus. The receptionist tells him it would take 7 days by regular horse-drawn carriage, but only 4 days if he used a wild horse to pull the carriage. Takumi chooses the wild horse option, but the receptionist informs him that wild horses are currently unavailable. Just then, Rael appears and reveals that all the wild horses are currently in use. He tells the receptionist that he hasn't completed his mission yet, but was attacked by a black buffalo on the way. He managed to kill it and rushed back to the guild before the meat spoiled. He plans to return in the morning to join Heath and the others. Takumi invites Rael to stay at his house for the night, and Rael happily accepts. They then go to see the guild master, and Takumi requests a wild horse. The guild master agrees, but asks Takumi to make more refrigerators upon his return, as he finds them to be a fantastic invention. Meanwhile, at home, Sophia anxiously waits for Takumi, worried that something bad might have happened to him. We then see Takumi and Rael visiting all the blacksmiths mentioned by the receptionist. Suddenly, a mysterious masked figure attacks Rael. When the attacker lifts their masks, it's revealed to be Sophia. He demands to know how Rael dares to target Takumi. Just as she prepares to strike him down, Takumi stops her, explaining that Rael is his friend. Sophia apologizes, explaining that she didn't know and was just worried about Takumi. The group returns home, and Rael is surprised by the beauty of the girls living with Takumi. It jokingly suggests that they all move in with him instead, but everyone refuses, preferring to stay with Takumi. After taking a bath, Rael and the others discuss their upcoming journey, which is set to begin in 3 days. So once Rael finishes his bath, he bids farewell to Takumi and the others and leaves. The next morning, Takumi works on refining his large sword. Using his magic, he channels a significant amount of mana and transforms the massive sword into 2 smaller swords, planning to give one to Sophia. And later, Babak arrives with the carriage. Takumi climbs aboard and meets the blacksmith who will be traveling with him, introducing himself. The blacksmith introduces himself as Dogombo. As they set off, a message arrives at the guild, informing the guild master that the monsters in the Forest of Death have become more active and ferocious. Takumi reassures them not to worry, he will protect everyone. The scene then shifts to the Holy Empire of Sidonia, months after Takumi's departure. Here we see the knights training with their swords as a crowd watches them. Back with Takumi and his friends, he explains that he has created a barrier to proscribe the blacksmith and the guild master from monsters. Then, he and the girls head out to hunt Trent trees. Sophia warns them that Trent trees look almost identical to regular trees. And as they begin their attack, they successfully cut down one of the Trent trees. Suddenly, they find themselves surrounded by Trent trees from all directions. Realizing that brute force alone won't be enough, they decide to use magic. The group unleashes their spells, cutting down the trees. However, to their shock, the trees regenerate instantly. Thinking quickly, Takumi coats his sword in flames using his magic. He targets the ancient Trent tree, slashing through it and stabbing it in the face, successfully killing it. As the tree falls, a strange apple drops from it. Sophia tells him that this apple is incredibly rare, so rare that even eating one is considered a luxury. They decide to take the apples back home. So the next morning, they arrive in Horus and head to the guild to learn more about the monsters inhabiting the mine's valley. Dogombo warns them that these creatures are among the worst kinds of monsters, but if they defeat them, they will gain access to the mine. As they reach the mine, the ground suddenly trembles beneath them, and a monstrous creature emerges. Team prepares for battle. Takumi uses his magic to illuminate the area, easily defeating the monster. He explains that these creatures thrive in complete darkness if exposed to light. They become helpless. And everyone is astonished by how effortlessly Takumi defeated them. With the threat eliminated, they successfully extract a large amount of raw materials and return safely to Bolton. Takumi then visits Dogombo's workshop and asks him to teach him the basics of mithril and adamantite alloy crafting. Dogombo explains that he combines mithril ore with magic steel salamander stones and ground magic stones. Takumi follows his instructions and spends countless hours hammering away, working tirelessly through days and nights. The process is far from simple. Eventually, he presents Sophia with a spear called the Hurricane Spear and gives Maria another spear named the Explosion Spear. Both girls are thrilled with their new weapons. Sophia, deeply moved, tells Takumi that she would willingly sacrifice her life for him if he were ever in danger. She then requests an extremely strong shield, and Takumi agrees. Meanwhile, a girl named Nolan observes Takumi and notices 2 mysterious figures with weapons. She senses that Takumi is in danger. A year passes, and the scene shifts back to the Sidonia Empire. We see Akira and Yamato standing as warriors, as the king tells them that he is counting on them for the nation's safety. Back with Takumi, he sits, utterly exhausted. Sophia watches him in silence, thinking to herself, I was the one who asked this of Takumi, and now the burden on him keeps growing. So if only he had an assistant to help him in his workshop. The scene then transitions to the kingdom of Barcola, where the king receives a message from Sidonia. The letter states that they have heard of the purification mage and wish to learn more details. So messenger is expected to arrive in a few days. The king immediately realizes that while the letter is polite on the surface, it carries an unmistakable underlying threat. And with that, our episode comes to an end. To watch more episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Our episode begins today with rumors that the kingdom of Barcola is using magical tools to purify their sewers. These rumors have reached the lands of Sidonia, where the church has repeatedly insisted that such actions are unacceptable. They claim that light magic is a great blessing, and therefore, purification magic falls under the church domain. An old man asks, "What does that mean?" Another responds, "They say that the purification magic circle should be patented and handed over to the church. Moreover, such magic should not be used on toilets, it is utterly inappropriate." Thus, the man insists that the king must hand over the person responsible for creating this purification magic tool for the Sidonian Empire to Kumi. However, the king refuses, enraging the man who threatens if you don't surrender him, the Pope will summon all the church's priests. King, unfazed, replies, "Do as you please, I won't stop you." The scene then shifts to Takumi, who is sitting with Patrick, discussing the matter. This means that the church will turn against them, but Patrick reassures him, saying, "Don't worry about it. I come from a rural town with its own customs and traditions, different from other villages. Today, I have come to ask you something. When I met Lord Marquess Goodwin to present him with samples of the toilets you created, he ordered me to bring you to meet him." Takumi is shocked. "Wait a minute, why do I have to go there and meet His Majesty? That would be really embarrassing." Patrick, however, tries his best to convince him to come along. That night, Takumi discusses the issue with his two friends and tells them he will be traveling to the royal capital, Bakulados. "King protected me from the church, so it would be incredibly rude of me to refuse his invitation." Samia suggests they come along, to which the others eagerly agree. It will be their first time visiting the royal capital. Takumi informs them that they will set out in a week but will need to prepare many supplies for the journey. When asked how long the trip would take, he tells them it will be about 7 days by monster horse-drawn carriage, meaning they will need plenty of food for the long journey. Takumi also considers making them new cloaks to wear in the capital. He has asked Babek to obtain some dark element magic stones. These stones will be used to craft the cloaks, which will also help them avoid harassment from shady individuals. The next morning, Maria and Sophia go shopping while talking about Takumi. They remark on how kind-hearted and thoughtful he is, always considering others before himself. The scene shifts to Takumi visiting the church, where he speaks with Nolan. She welcomes him warmly, noting that it has been a long time since they last met. She mentions that she has heard about his upcoming trip to the royal capital, which he confirms. He also says that he has come to ask her some questions about the city and whether the journey there will be troublesome. Kalun assures him that he will face many adventures along the way. She then confesses that she has tampered with time. The heroes have not arrived yet because she delayed time by more than a year. They might take a few more months to appear, she explains. Takumi, shocked, asks, "Why did you do that? You delayed me for an entire year." However, Nolan dismisses his concerns, saying, "Time's up. You need to visit me again." "You still haven't answered my question," he protests. In response, she smacks him on the head. "Shut up, you idiot." Takumi realizes she's avoiding the question and thinks to himself, "Well, I have no intention of meeting the heroes anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter." The scene shifts to the Holy Empire of Dunya, 10 months into the future from Takumi's present timeline. There, Akira is training in sword combat. His instructor praises him, saying, "Your progress in these past few weeks has been truly remarkable, Akira." So the scene returns to Takumi and Maria, who is overjoyed with her new magical cloak. Sophia also wears one. Takumi asks them, "Do you like the design?" They enthusiastically reply, "It's beautiful." Takumi then thinks about crafting a carriage himself instead of borrowing one each time. He sketches a design on paper, planning its construction. However, they lack a monster horse to pull it. Maria, thinking of an alternative, asks, "Do you remember the Forest of Death? There are many similar areas inhabited by powerful beasts. Some places even have horses far superior to monster horses, faster and stronger. So we could go there and catch one." The scene shifts to them traveling to the forest. Takumi wonders, are drake horses really much faster than monster horses? Sophia answers, yes, they are extremely agile and powerful. The main difference between them and other horses is their single horn, which sets them apart. Their bodies are also covered in scales, like dragons. At that moment, they encounter Kaide, who has arrived ahead of them, brimming with excitement. Suddenly, a wolf passes by them without attacking. They are all surprised, but Takumi reassures them, "No need to be shocked, it's thanks to the magical cloaks I made. They conceal our presence." However, Sophia has a different idea. She wants to remove her cloak so she can train and fight the beasts herself. But they may have to remove their cloaks and fight, in order to train. Indeed, everyone begins their training, with Sophia slaying a beast. Takumi then dries the meat and adds it to their supplies. Soon they come across a fallen tree and decide to take its wood to craft their carriage. Sophia helps Takumi gather the wood while Kaede explores the surrounding areas, knowing that many tree monsters inhabit the land. Suddenly, she finds an injured horse lying on the ground, covered in wounds. As she approaches, the horse assumes she means to harm it and kicks her with great force. Kaede quickly reassures it, saying, "I have a strong master who can help you." However, before she can say more, she spots a swarm of large insects approaching. Kaede attacks some of them and then weaves a large web barrier to protect the horse. The insects leap onto the web, tearing through it with their sharp teeth. Kaede tries to contact her master, but he doesn't respond. She grows anxious, fearing that Takumi and the girls might have already left after collecting the wood. Despite her fear, she continues to call out for him, her voice filled with desperation. Just then, she sees Takumi standing before her. Overjoyed, she exclaims, "You finally came to save us." She tells him that she called out to him repeatedly, but he never answered. Takumi explains, "When you were weaving your web layers for a stronger defense, the threads blocked the flow of mana, making it impossible for anyone to hear you." However, he had sensed her weakened mana and followed her trail, eventually finding her in this place. Kaede, relieved, quickly informs him of the horse's condition. It is unconscious due to its severe injuries, and she begs Takumi to help immediately. Takumi cautiously approaches the horse, aware that it may still react aggressively even while unconscious. Kaede urges him to hurry, but Sophia warns, "If we stay here much longer, more monsters will attack us. I can sense them nearby." Takumi decides to transport both the horse and Kaede back to their home. As he cannot move the horse alone, it needs a human presence with it. Sophia warns him of the great risk involved, but Takumi dismisses her concerns. Suddenly, Takumi collapses, unconscious. The group rushes to carry him home so he can recover. Hori remains asleep for more than 20 hours without waking. Concerned, Maria asks Sophia about Takumi's condition. Sophia explains he's still maintaining the pocket dimension, despite its immense burden. So as long as the dimension holding the horse and Kaede remains sealed, Takumi can wake up at any time. However, she doesn't want to wait any longer, fearing that Takumi might fall ill. To help, she transfers some of her energy to him. She then uses telepathy to contact Kaede, successfully reaching her. Sophia asks about the horse's condition. Kaede, still frightened and uneasy in the unfamiliar place, responds that they cannot treat the horse unless it comes out of the pocket dimension, meaning Takumi will remain unconscious. Sophia instructs Kaede to create a barrier similar to the one she made in the forest. But if the horse can't see beyond the barrier, it may feel safer. Afterwards, Sophia prepares to buy medical herbs for the horse, but Maria stops her. "Stay with Takumi. I'll go buy the herbs instead," she insists. Later, Takumi begins to feel warmth in his hand. When he finally wakes from his coma, he finds Sophia beside him. So he thanks her for everything they've done for him. That night, they visit Kaede and the horse. Takumi does everything in his power to heal the injured creature. Once treated, he asks the horse to use its great strength to break free from the spider webs. After fully healing the horse, they gain a new companion. Takumi tames the horse and names it Camellia, after the tree that retains its leaves year-round and blooms with red and white flowers. So the girls are delighted with the name. Finally, they all decide to go eat together. And that's the end of today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated with all our latest content. Our episode today begins in the kingdom of Barkala, specifically at the Palom Slave Trading Company. An old man is seen speaking to a cat girl named Riva, asking her, "What can you do, my dear?" She replies that she is still studying but will be able to do a lot once she completes her training in supernatural abilities. However, the old man apologizes, saying he is looking for someone useful immediately, then leaves. Her master tries to comfort her, saying, "Don't worry, I'm sure someone will come and take care of you." Riva then sits down and sighs, thinking that man, Barton, has been saying those same words for years, yet no one has ever come. She remembers her younger brother, recalling how she bid him farewell before leaving to earn money for their household. She had told him to take care of their mother until she could return safely. Feeling completely hopeless, Riva falls into despair. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Taku, who is busy crafting some items. Maria asks him if he plans to go to Dogensdombo's workshop. From her tone, she already knows the answer. He's definitely going. He has some blacksmithing work to do, including forging horses for Camellia and working on the carriage. Maria tries to convince him to take a break since he hasn't slept in 2 days, urging him to think about his health first. The Taku reassures them, saying he's fine and that this work is important to him. After saying his goodbyes, he sets off. Upon arriving at the guild, Taku notices something unusual and asks the receptionist, "What's going on, my friend?" The receptionist explains that there have been reports of a strange creature sighted on the outskirts of the city. Though they can't confirm whether it's a monster or not, they have created a rough sketch based on eyewitness accounts. The creature appears mysterious, but thankfully there have been no reports of any damage so far. The receptionist then asks, "So what brings you here today, Taku?" Taku casually replies, "I came to register another pet." A wave of shock ripples through the guild. The so-called monster that people have been reporting is, in fact, the very creature Taku is trying to register. The guild master grabs Taku and shouts, "Come with me, you fool." The scene then shifts to Sophia, who is walking through the market, lost in thought. She recalls a conversation with her former mistress, who once asked for a slave with specific conditions. However, the manager at the time had apologized, saying that such a request couldn't be fulfilled at that moment, but that she would contact some fellow traders in other towns and provide details later. Back in the present, Marina approaches Sophia and walks with her. They discuss how Takak has been looking exhausted lately, so they decide to bring him a hearty meal, especially beef, since he loves productivity so much that he often forgets to eat. After finishing their shopping, they head to the blacksmith's workshop, where they find Taku fast asleep. They are shocked, but he reassures them not to worry, he's just sleeping. Marina notes that he has been working non-stop for days without rest, and if he keeps this up, he'll collapse sooner or later. Later, we see the completed carriage and Taku is overjoyed. He asks Camellia, the horse, to pull it, explaining to everyone that he has fully equipped it with everything they need: a bathroom, a kitchen, a bedroom, and a living space. It's a well-designed and functional vehicle, with even a kitchen for cooking and plenty of other useful features. But as they set off, traveling at high speed, Sophia is surprised by how smooth the ride is. There's no shaking at all inside the carriage. Taku explains that he designed it with advanced stabilization to ensure comfort. But after a few days of testing it out, they finally reach the Lion's Fang Brigade. Upon arrival, they are shocked to see that the carriage is being pulled by a Doric horse. Just then, Godwin appears and welcomes them, apologizing to the governor for any trouble this visit might cause. The merchant Babak then requests permission to take a look inside the carriage. The moment he steps in, he is utterly stunned. Letting out a loud scream, he startles everyone. What's wrong? Is something the matter? So they ask, concerned. Babak, still in shock, exclaims, "What is this magnificent carriage? Did you really build this yourself?" Babak then told him that the carriage had many shocking features and innovative functions. If Takomi didn't mind, he wanted to hear all the details immediately, of course. He wouldn't ask for it for free. He was willing to pay the appropriate reward and fees. However, the governor instructed him to calm down, as he was overwhelming Takumi. Babak took a deep breath and then admitted, "Regardless, this carriage is truly remarkable." Takumi thanked him, and the governor agreed, saying, "It really is impressive. I'd love to travel in a carriage like this." He then made Takumi an offer to build him a similar carriage for 100 platinum coins. Takumi was utterly stunned by the proposal. After that, they continued on their journey to the royal capital, Bakalatos. There we see the governor discussing contributions with the emperor, mentioning how Takumi had made significant contributions to his region. Now he was about to play an even bigger role, making his name known far and wide, rising to greater heights. At that moment, he decided to ensure Tokami's protection from the common evildoers. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, a young woman was reading a book about monsters that were created to serve humans. The next day, we see Takumi carrying Maple, accompanied by his friends, as they safely arrive in the royal capital, Bakalatos, without encountering any major monster threats. But every time a monster appeared, Sophia and the others swiftly defeated it in an instant. Even Maple and the Doric horse proved to be unstoppable. Babak then approached Takumi, telling him that he wanted to discuss something once they reached home. When they finally arrived, Babak revealed his plan. He wanted Takumi to present something similar to his carriage to the king. So he had already consulted Governor Godwin, who believed that this was the perfect way to showcase Takumi's extraordinary talent. Babak then informed him that the king wanted to meet him in 5 days. Given the short time frame, he knew it would be difficult to build another carriage, so he suggested that Takumi start working on it as soon as they returned to Bolton. However, Takumi pointed out that if they built it in Bolton, they would have to transport it all the way back here, which would be a hassle. Given the effort required, it would be better to build it immediately. He could manage with the materials he had, but he needed a workspace. Babak assured him that he would take care of that. Later, Takumi sat with his friends and told them about the Palom company which Babak had mentioned to him. It was a slave trading company run by someone he knew. Sophia responded that she was already aware of it. The company was owned by a man named Barton and was known for being reputable, even in the capital. Takumi continued, explaining that they had a large garden in that secluded building that they could use. Babak had also promised to provide a generator. Sophia then expressed concern, saying that Takumi needed someone to assist him with production. He had exhausted himself during the journey, and despite the long trip, he had immediately started working without taking a break. "This is reckless," she scolded him. Takumi reassured her, saying he wasn't too tired and was actually excited about heading to the Palom company. But most importantly, he felt at ease knowing they were with him and willing to help. Sophia then declared that while she might not be able to assist with alchemy, she was committed to dedicating her life to protecting his. "I promise to handle any external threats," she vowed. Maria interrupted, insisting I'll take care of the household chores. "Over my dead body, will anyone else do them?" Takumi smiled and thanked them for their support. The next morning, Takumi headed to Palom, where he met with the manager and inquired about hiring someone. He was considering expanding his team and needed someone to assist him with alchemy. The manager responded that he had already heard about Takumi using alchemy to craft a carriage out of mithril and adamantite. Therefore, he would need someone with magical abilities. Meanwhile, we shift to Sophia and Maria. Maria asked Sophia about Maple. Noting that she hadn't been around, she had been with Camellia just a while ago. Maria then mentioned that Maple wanted to explore the company's buildings, but she was worried that something might have happened to her. Concerned, Sophia decided to go after her. When she finally found her, Maple was lying on the ground alongside a young girl who was screaming loudly. Maple tried to calm the girl down, but Sophia stepped in demanding, "What are you doing here?" She then helped them both up from the ground. Sophia then talks to Riva while holding the book, saying, "It looks like an old book." Riva replies, "Yes, it's a book from the library. There are many unwanted books about magic here. This one is an encyclopedia on the basics of alchemy in Arnold's style. Alchemy circles are quite old-fashioned, and this book is the best way to learn the fundamentals of analysis and synthesis." Then, Takumi appears and speaks to Sophia, saying, "I was just thinking about summoning you. I was on my way to meet a candidate, but I wonder if you'd like to accompany me." So the scene then shifts to the king introducing Riva to Takumi, mentioning that he works as a producer in Bolton. Takumi then explains, "I go on adventures in addition to my work as a producer, but I mainly do this to maintain my status. I'll primarily use magic for production. I'd be happy if you have some knowledge or interest in alchemy." Sophia responds, "I've been studying and learning various things on my own here, including a book on alchemy." Takumi and Riva both react. "The Encyclopedia of Alchemy Fundamentals in Arnold's style?" Riva adds Aaron's book is generally considered a fundamental alchemy text, but I believe it's derived from Arnold's methods. Still, we shouldn't forget the foundational principles. Takumi then hands Riva a piece of paper, saying, "You can understand the purpose of the alchemy circle from this." Riva takes the paper and sees that it describes the reconstruction of a heat-based material with structural modifications. It resembles the alchemical Lipop circle, but something is different. I need to do my best to figure it out, or I'll be rejected again. She starts crying and says, "I don't know, in my homeland we don't use whipped cream. We use honey candy, I'll be rejected again." Takumi tells her, "I'd like to have you join us on our adventure to help us." Riva replies, "I don't understand your alchemy circle. It's different from the lollipop-based one I know, but I'll do my best." The king then finalizes the contract between them. Takumi turns to Sophia and says, "Are you okay with a daily wage and potential raises based on your abilities?" Sophia responds, "I want all my wages sent to my home. The village I come from is very poor. I left my family with little money after becoming a civil slave. I don't want my little brother to live in poverty. I want him to go to school and make life easier for my mother." Takumi replies, "If we send all the money, you'll remain a slave forever." Sophia says she will learn more techniques, including alchemy, under your guidance. She'll be able to earn her own living one day. Serving under her master, she has entered a lifelong contract. The scene shifts to Takumi's friends welcoming Sophia. They're all very happy to have her join them. Next, we move to the Holy Empire of Cydonia. A man tells the king the stance of the Kingdom of Barcola remains unchanged. "We have sent them 3 official letters, and they insisted on rejection as if they were copying the same response." The king replies, "We must teach them a lesson, even if we have to use some force." And then, a young woman steps forward and says, "It won't be long before our nation summons heroes. So I believe we should avoid any reckless actions in the coming months. This is the perfect time to strengthen faith. We will simply spread news about someone disrespecting the church. And when that happens, the Order of Light will not let it slide." And that's the end of today's episode. Stay tuned for more. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Our episode today begins with Takumi using his magic to create a carriage, leaving his friend Riva completely amazed. Takumi tells her that one day she will be able to make one herself, because she possesses key qualities that any alchemist needs. Her eyes always light up with excitement whenever she watches things being put together. He assures her that he will help her improve quickly. Meanwhile, we see Sophia watching them from a distance. The next morning, Takumi stands before the carriage, having completed its construction. An old man approaches him and asks who the magnificent carriage belongs to. Takumi replies that he is presenting it as a gift to His Majesty, the king. The old man praises him, saying, "You're truly amazing, Takumi." Takumi is surprised that the man knows his name. Then, his friends arrive and call the old man His Majesty, King Lobos Barcola. Takumi is shocked to realize that this man is actually the king himself. The king wanted to meet Takumi outside the palace, away from the formal setting of a meeting hall, so he could personally thank him. Thanks to Takumi, the royal capital found a solution to its sewer problems. Takumi expresses his gratitude, relieved that he wasn't dragged into the crossfire of Cydonia. So later we see Takumi and his friends leaving the castle. The king then orders his guards that he will not be meeting anyone else for the day. A few days after returning from the royal capital, Takumi buys the mansion he had been renting from the Babik company, officially making it his own. Later, we see Takumi sitting with the girls, suggesting that he increase their monthly allowance. However, they refuse, telling him that they are content with the way things are, and don't need any extra money. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Cydonia, we see a girl holding the magical device used to purify the sewers in Bolton. She stares at it with a strange expression, leaving us uncertain about her intentions, whether she plans to do something sinister or has other motives. Back with Takumi, Riva tells him that she wants to register with the Adventurers Guild and become an adventurer like Sophia and Maria. She believes this will allow her to assist him as an alchemist and enhance her stats and mana. But the receptionist hands her a card, officially recognizing her as an adventurer. The receptionist then asks Takumi, "Aren't you going to name your team, Takumi? Your group is one of the elite squads in the guild. You can't remain nameless forever." Takumi responds that he never intended to be an adventurer in the first place, and hasn't thought about naming his team. Suddenly, Barak appears and declares that he will train Takumi to become a proper adventurer. He drags Takumi outside and puts him through a series of attacks, repeatedly asking him if he has come up with a name for his team yet. Every time Takumi hesitates, Barak strikes him again. Later, Takumi meets up with his friends and tells them how Barak kept beating him up. And every time Takumi suggested a team name that Barak didn't like, he would hit him even harder. Farina starts thinking about a name and comes up with an extremely long one, but Takumi tells her that won't work. Another girl suggests the toilets, but Takumi groans. "When I told Barak that, he threw me 4 or 5 times. Maria gets frustrated that they still haven't found a suitable name. She even compares herself to a useless toilet, saying she has no value except for, well, you know. Takumi calms her down, saying, "Relax, Maria. Barak told me to completely erase toilets from my mind. The name needs to be strong." He then turns to Sophia and asks if she has any ideas. Sophia, however, is fuming. "How dare that man do all that to you, Takumi?" Her anger keeps rising, and she declares, "I'm gonna teach him a painful lesson." But Takumi quickly tries to calm her down. She looks ready to take on the massive Barak herself. Wait, he's just training me, that's all. But yeah, the training was brutal. Meanwhile, in the Cydonia Empire, 10 months ahead of Takumi's present timeline, warriors are fiercely training in swordsmanship. Yamato, a skilled fighter, is studying tactics and strikes. He wants to grow even stronger. He turns to his friend and asks if she's worried about the maid who's been with them, as she always seems to be watching from afar. The friend shrugs it off and leaves. Later, alone at home, she starts pondering the history of humans, elves, and other races, reflecting on the wars that once tore them apart. She wonders about their country's role. The church summoned us here, but we have no idea what they truly want from us. They claim it's for world peace, but what are they really planning? Maybe the truth will come out eventually. Back with Takumi, he is speaking with Riva, the new alchemist girl, and hands her a ring. So this is for activating spells. He then gives her a staff, no ordinary staff, but one wrapped in a rare mithril alloy. Need to equip you properly so we can take on powerful enemies. Riva is beyond grateful for the weapons. Just then, Kaede appears, furious about something. Before she can explode, Takumi hands her a weapon. Her anger vanishes instantly, and she beams with happiness. I knew you'd need one, Takumi tells her. This weapon is perfect for you and your thread-controlling abilities. Yidiel then asked Riva for help in crafting it. Kaede thanks them both deeply. Later, Takumi resumes training, and Barack Obama puts him through sheer hell. Sui slams Takumi into the ground over and over. Takumi thinks to himself, at this rate, Sophia's gonna lose it and start a fight with this guy. But surprisingly, she doesn't. Instead, she calmly tells him, Takumi, your defense is full of weak spots. It's seriously bad. You need to focus more. The Guildmaster's attacks are targeting your weak points directly. Afterward, they head to the guild, where the receptionist asks, are you interested in accepting a bodyguard mission? Takumi, still sore from the relentless beating, groans. Barack Obama chimes in, that's a great idea. If you complete it successfully, Takumi, your rank will go up. The mission requires him to escort a carriage to the town of Kilobos and back. A 4-day trip, 2 days there and 2 back. The request comes from Bobak Trading Company. Takumi accepts, realizing it's a big decision. The next morning, the group sets off, led by Kaede and her swift horse. Takumi and the man he's escorting travel behind them, chatting along the way. The man thanks Takumi for taking on the mission, saying he feels much safer now. Tu then mentions something unexpected. Oh, and we'll also be bringing back some milk. Takumi's eyes widen. Wait, there's milk. The man nods. Yes, Takumi, they make white cheese there. An hour into their journey, they encounter a battle between goblins and jumbo wolves. Suddenly, Camellia unleashes her lightning magic, electrocuting every single enemy in one massive strike. Maple kills them in the blink of an eye because they were completely weak. After that, they arrive at the town of Kelbos. Once they rest for a bit, it's time for lunch. When they sit down to eat, they find a variety of delicious dishes. But as they take their first bites, they are overwhelmed by how amazing the food tastes, filling them with joy. Later, Takumi decides to buy some milk and cheese before heading home, as the market in this town stays open at night. When night falls, they sit down for dinner, and once again, the food is absolutely delicious. As Takumi eats, he reflects on how he arrived in this world just a few months ago, yet it feels like years have passed. He doesn't want to go back to his old life. This world is just too good, and the reason? The milk and cheese here are simply out of this world. Then, Takumi asks Sophia if rice exists in this world. She responds that if he means the grains eaten in the kingdom of Samander, they weren't available in the market, they were only sold in the royal capital. This shocks Takumi. If he had known that earlier, he would have checked there. He's heard rumors about rice and really wants to try it. Curious, he then asks Sophia how she feels about her homeland, since it's been over a decade since she left. She replies that she prefers enjoying the present rather than reminiscing about the past. She lived under a curse like a bird trapped in a cage for 50 years, but forming a contract with him gave her a new life. She often wonders what adventures await her and the rest of the group. They've given her a wonderful life, so there's no need to dwell on the past, only the future matters. The other girls chime in, saying they love their life with him, which makes Takumi incredibly happy. Feeling inspired, he decides to come up with a name for their team. The name Nolan's Wings comes to him since all of them were given wings to escape their cages. The girls all agree that it's a perfect name. After successfully completing their escort mission, they return to Bolton. That night, as Takumi enters the mansion, he suddenly smells a paralysis-inducing poison. Reacting quickly, he covers his nose before it affects him. He looks behind him and sees Sophia tied up by a group of men. One of them attacks, but thanks to Maple, Takumi manages to beat him down. Shui then flees Loyam, heals Sophia, and Hila gains consciousness. She thanks him profusely but also apologizes for failing him. Takumi asks why the men were able to paralyze her, to which she responds that both she and Maple have resistant skills against paralysis and poison. Maple then asks what they should do about the criminals outside. She had seen them lurking around while leading Camellia to the stable, so she suspected there were intruders inside as well. She quickly entered her pocket dimension and witnessed the attack unfold. Woody then asks if the criminals are armed, noting that this attack seems carefully planned, but it might be best to call for help from the Adventurers Guild. Takumi agrees and asks her to go fetch Barak. When Barak arrives, Takumi explains the situation to him. Barak assesses the scene and tells him they must report this to the governor immediately. This could be a major disaster in the making. And that's where the episode ends. But if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell.
Our episode begins with Takumi in a meeting with Goodwin and his companions, where Goodwin informs him that the thieves who infiltrated Lord Iroma's house last night were actually members of the Divine Light Squadron. These extremists execute anyone they deem to be defying the teachings of the Church of Divine Light. They were sent by the Holy Empire of Sidonia, and their main goal was not theft, but to take Takumi's head. It seems that the reason for the attack is the purification magic tool invented by Lord Iroma. Takumi realizes that this makes sense since the use of light magic was excessive from the beginning. He suggests going to another town to hide, but Goodwin tells him to stay in Bolton, as it will be safer than any other town. He assures him that they will provide all kinds of support and protection, increasing the number of city guards to monitor who enters and leaves. Barak then states that the most important thing right now is ensuring Takumi's safety while he ventures outside. Takumi asks him to stop adventuring for a while due to the dangerous situation, but Barak refuses, saying that his team is one of the top 5 in the entire town. Sophia reassures Takumi not to worry, vowing to protect him even at the cost of her life. Barak also promises to grant him many skills to help him defeat enemies with ease. Takumi then leaves with Sophia and Barak, realizing that he is now a target of Sidonia's Church of Light. He recalls the night he was attacked and how it put the lives of Sophia, Maria, and Riva in danger. They arrive at the guild, where the receptionist tells Takumi that he has chosen a name for his team, Nolan's Wings. The receptionist also informs him that rumors about the attack on him have spread, and a large bounty has been placed on his head. Some adventurers might try to deceive the guild and accept unethical missions just for the money. That night, Takumi and his female companions have dinner together, and he shares what the receptionist told him. He apologizes for putting them in danger, but the girls reassure him that they are friends and will protect each other. Everyone is ready to fight. Takumi then mentions that he is thinking of creating an improved magical device to set up a barrier around the mansion that will keep out anyone who is not registered, though it will only be active when they are not outside on adventuring missions. Sophia suggests they immediately search for an attacker or a warehouse, noting that some adventurers work solo, but asking someone to form deep bonds with the team right away will be difficult. She recommends checking with Mulan Company. Takumi agrees, as using a magic contract is the safest method. The next morning, as Takumi and his companion prepare to create the magic device, Sophia arrives and asks to join them to learn more about magical tools. Takumi assigns her a task, engraving alchemical circles onto the metal plates. Sophia and Riva then complete their first task, engraving the symbols. Takumi applies the magic material to the plates. Meanwhile, we see Spider-Girl training Camellia, the horse, for battle, determined not to lose to a mere golem. Riva then asks Takumi if golems fall under the field of alchemy, to which he replies that they do. He explains that while the magic circle engraved in their control cores is highly complex, he has not yet experimented with such things due to his insufficient mana control level. Takumi then activates his magic on the engraved plates, allowing them to be placed around the mansion, preventing strangers from entering. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, 2 guards inform the king that the Divine Light Squadron has been captured and did not have the chance to commit suicide. The king asks if a magic contract was used on them, but the guard assumes that believers from the Church of Light orchestrated the attack. The princess suggests cutting ties with Barcola Kingdom and proceeding with their own plan. Another guard then reports that they failed to analyze the magic circle discovered in the ruins. However, based on the explanations in a small manuscript, it might be an activation spell for summoning. The king asks when they will be ready to execute the plan, and Homer responds that they will need 2 to 3 months to gather the required mana. Back with Takumi and his friends, he struggles to use his magic on the device. Spider-Girl asks him why he insists on having a golem, and he explains that having one would increase their security. He acknowledges that he still needs to improve his control over the summoning spell to tame a golem. Sophia then tells him that wildstone golems have been spotted in the western region, as well as Demas, near the forest. Takumi suggests they enter Demas and face the iron golem. The group then sets off toward the rocky plains west of the Death Forest, where they spot a golem. They are amazed by its massive size. Sophia informs them that it is a Ruins Guardian-class golem, and to defeat it, they must aim for the magic stone in its chest. The control core is its weak point. Destroying it is the same as killing the golem. But Takumi chooses not to kill it just yet. The golem almost spots them with its glowing eyes, but they quickly hide. Sophia whispers, "This thing looks really dangerous. We should ignore it." But Takumi has a different idea. If it's this strong, that means it could be even more valuable as an ally. Without hesitation, he rushes forward, stopping right in front of the golem. The others immediately take defensive positions, ready to fight. "Wait! Don't attack!" Takumi orders. "This might be easier than it looks. I can feel some kind of connection with it." The golem inches closer, its massive face just inches away from Takumi's, who is now shaking with fear. But there's no hostility. Takumi carefully tries to tame it, and to everyone's shock, he succeeds effortlessly. Even Takumi can't believe it, and the others are completely stunned. The golem is now their new companion. Takumi thinks for a moment before giving it a name. Titan, after the legendary giant from a myth he once knew. The group welcomes their newest ally. Titan then signals to Takumi, asking for a more flexible body so it can move more easily. Yusef warns, "That's risky. If we bring this thing into the city, it'll cause chaos." Takumi thinks for a moment. "I'll just use my pocket dimension." But before he can act, Titan suddenly starts to shrink. Or rather, it didn't collapse. It just got smaller. It turns out this is a special ability it possesses. Titan is no longer a towering giant. Meanwhile, in the Cydonia Empire, the soldiers are training intensely when Akane spots two guys casually hanging around with some girls. Seriously? Don't you have any shame? He scolds. This is not the time for flirting. One of them smirks. What's wrong, Akane? You jealous? Akira is clearly messing with her. Annoyed, Akane storms off. Back to Takumi. He is deep in thought, trying to figure out how to rebuild Titan's body. Then, he gathers the girls and tells them something unexpected. If you stay with me, you'll always be in danger. So, I'm dissolving our contracts. Shocked, Sophia glares at him. Since when have you been planning this? Since the first time we were attacked, he admits. Why are you doing this? One of them asks. Who's going to protect you now? Takumi sighs. Well, thanks to Titan, I'll be fine. As for Maple and Camellia, they're just pets, so they'll stay with me. But you three, you should live a peaceful, safer life. Thank you for everything. He then adds, and don't worry, I'll compensate you handsomely. I'll pay all the money we've earned so far so you can live comfortably. Then he turns to Riva. I'll also send money to your family so they can live in peace. Tears start to form. That's not what we meant. Takumi continues. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but think of it as severance pay. Sophia clenches her fists. I refuse. Maria, however, is furious. She points her weapon at him. You idiot, she yells. Why do you always put us before yourself? We're never leaving you. Tears stream down her face. We're with you in both hardship and victory. We're your wings, Takumi. If you lose us, you'll never be able to fly again. Maria breaks down, and soon, everyone is crying. Sophia speaks up. That's the worst thing we could ever hear from you. Don't ever say that nonsense again. Takumi, overwhelmed, remembers all the moments they shared, especially Maria's first day with them. Tears fill his eyes. I'm so sorry. Later, they all head to the garden. Titan has finished his transformation. His new body is shining brilliantly. Takumi grins. So, how do you like your new body? Titan speaks for the first time. It's amazing, my lord. Takumi had used special alloys to craft an armor of incredible beauty and strength, making Titan even more powerful. Now, Titan stands tall, not just as an ally, but as a force that could even rival a dragon. Takumi is overjoyed with his work. But elsewhere, a group of people is secretly scheming. A queen with golden hair smirks. Perhaps the time has come? What is she planning? What will happen next? Find out in the next episode. Our episode today begins in that abandoned village near the city of Bolton. Suddenly, everyone is leaving the village, angry and frustrated. It seems that the nobles ordered them to leave. The situation was utterly hopeless. They abandoned the village and fled to neighboring lands. These people had worked tirelessly, many of them perishing from the harsh labor. Yet the nobles did not acknowledge their suffering. Instead, they slaughtered many of them. What is the story behind these events? Stay with us until the end to uncover the full truth. The scene now shifts to the castle, where the king speaks with his officials. One of them reports, more than 1,000 citizens have abandoned their village, and it's all because of those foolish nobles who forsake their people. But unfortunately, there's no use in being angry now. We must not abandon those who have lost their homes. A white-haired official then informs the king, Count Rockford has sent us a letter requesting that we secure shelter for the refugees. The king contemplates, with over 1,000 people, we'll need a vast area of land for them to settle. He then points to a spot on the map and says, this is our only option. It's the most suitable location. However, there's a significant problem. The land is overrun by monstrous creatures. It won't be easy to develop, but there is no other choice. Only one person is capable of solving this crisis. Yes, it's Takumi. The scene now shifts to Takumi and his exceptionally strong party. He had been wanting to challenge a dungeon for quite some time, so they ventured into a dungeon ranked A, the second most difficult dungeon in the region, known as the Forest of the Beast King. Despite being underground, the dungeon had a vast forest and an open sky. The monsters within were noticeably stronger than those outside, and there were many of them. Geikob, the intelligent spider, carefully observed their movements, even though visibility was poor. Titan, on the other hand, excelled at enduring the monsters' relentless attacks. One by one, they defeated the bosses of each floor, collecting treasures and items from the treasure chests. After an entire day, they finally reached the final floor. Everyone was excited. At that moment, a trap was triggered. Takumi stepped on a peculiar stone, and suddenly, a massive boulder came rolling toward them. They ran for their lives, and after dodging the trap, continued forward until they arrived at a strange location. It seemed as if they had been lured there. Moments later, the final boss appeared. It was a massive beast. Everyone was terrified. It was an earth dragon of S rank. The dragon immediately launched an attack. Takumi commanded Geikob and Titan to immobilize its tail. They attempted to hold it down, while Sophie struck it with a powerful blow. The entire team worked together, launching one attack after another. Titan unleashed his powerful yellow light explosion, causing a massive detonation. But the dragon survived. It absorbed the energy and retaliated, sending Titan crashing into the ground with a devastating strike. At that moment, Sophie deduced its weakness. It was its wings! Takumi quickly summoned Camellia, who rammed into its wing with full force. Takumi seized the opportunity, leaping forward and thrusting his sword deep into the dragon's mouth. The creature erupted in a massive explosion. Finally, the treasure chest appeared. Additionally, Camellia evolved into a dragon horse, growing even larger. Takumi picked up a piece of the dragon's remains and was shocked. He might be able to craft something powerful from it. Afterward, they returned home. But before long, Takumi was summoned by Marquis Gadouin, or the king. The king looked at him and said, "Listen carefully. Do you know about the undeveloped land in the southern sector of my territory?" Takumi nodded. "Yes, it's not just an uninhabitable wasteland. I've heard that it's infested with so many monsters that even neighboring nations avoid it entirely. It was once invaded, but the attempt failed, forcing the invaders to retreat. They also say that the region is rich in adamantite and mithril ore, but I don't know the full story." The Marquis then said, "Listen carefully. Would you be willing to establish a pioneering village in that land?" Takumi was shocked. "Why me, Your Excellency?" The Marquis replied, "Because you are the only one who can do it. I was told that you managed to construct a sturdy wall around the village in a short amount of time. That's why I am entrusting you with this task. I believe you can make it happen." The minister then informs him that about 100 kilometers south of Bolton, there is a river and a spring. He believes it would be best to start building the village around this water source since it is somewhat farther from the monster's territory. At this moment, Sophie intervenes, warning them that the situation is extremely dangerous. The Marquis sighs and acknowledges, "Unfortunately, we are well aware of the risks, but we have no choice. There are many people who desperately need a place to settle. These refugees lost their village over a year ago. Development had started, but corrupt nobles interfered, ruining everything. The villagers lost their homes and became refugees. That is why I need a settlement built for them as soon as possible." Takumi finally agrees. He cannot ignore people who have lost their homes. His compassion won't allow it. He recalls his own past, when he was homeless a year ago, and how a kind community welcomed him with open arms. Now, he wants to repay that kindness and protect these people. The scene shifts to the construction site. Takumi unleashes his incredible abilities, erecting a massive wall and digging water-filled trenches along the outer borders. A sturdy fortress is established, and the entire team works tirelessly to improve everything. Roads are built, water flows through the new canals, and they begin clearing out the surrounding forests to keep the monsters at bay. Sophie, riding Camellia at full speed, rushes to Bolton to request the transfer of the refugees. 10 days later, the village is completed. The king, upon hearing the news, is stunned. "What? He finished building it in just 10 days? That's unbelievably fast." Sophie then tells him that Takumi has stated that the villagers should be able to live their daily lives without any trouble. Meanwhile, we see the pioneers heading toward the southern border as per Makoto's request. This land is supposedly undeveloped and infested with monsters, meaning they will need to clear the area near the monsters before cultivating it. A man from Bolton has been assigned to oversee these operations, which makes the pioneers nervous. They fear being wiped out by the creatures. Upon arriving at Makoto's settlement, the pioneers are warmly welcomed. Makoto acknowledges their exhaustion after their long journey and explains that he has been working on preparing the land for farming. The leader of the group looks confused, so Takumi steps in, explaining that he built protective walls around the village to defend against monster attacks. Additionally, he dug a water-filled trench around the settlement, ensuring it remains safe, unless, of course, they are attacked by a dragon or something similar. Takumi then points out the buildings he constructed for the settlement's new residents, explaining that he also built a camp for the nights. Furthermore, a sewer system has been installed using magical tools. The leader expresses his gratitude for Takumi's efforts and asks how such a massive project was completed in such a short time. He is amazed, realizing that this is no longer just a village, but a full-fledged fortress. Takumi humbly responds that the work is not yet finished and that he used magic to speed up the construction process. At this moment, we see Mani, awestruck by the city she will now call home. Sophie approaches her and asks if she is here alone. Mani nods, revealing that her husband passed away in their old village. Sophie then asks if she has any interest in a job unrelated to farming. If so, she could work for Takumi, the one who built this settlement. With everyone currently busy developing the land, Sophie assumes that Takumi might need someone to help take care of things for him. She then asks Mani if she is good at cooking, inviting her to meet Takumi. Mani follows Sophie to Takumi's house, where he welcomes her. He tells her that he has already learned her story from Sophie and would like her to help take care of things. He assures her that he will pay her whatever wage they agree upon. Mani falls silent for a moment before apologizing and refusing the offer. She then asks them why they came to this village in the first place. "Are we going to face despair again after coming here? I cannot trust you," she declares. Takumi simply smiles and tells her that they can put the offer on hold for now. As she leaves, Mani is certain that after saying such words, she will no longer be allowed to stay here. She believes that Takumi now has his eyes on her and that she cannot remain in this place. To her, he is no different from the nobles of the past. She refuses to relive the horrors of her previous experiences. Frustrated with her own helplessness, she suddenly senses something nearby. Suddenly, news reaches Takumi that many monsters are approaching. He immediately orders his men to raise all the drawbridges and seal off the village. Then, he instructs Commander Doron to have his knights ensure the safety of the villagers. No monster can get past these walls, and they will deal with the ones outside. As the walls begin to rise, we see Mani outside the village, running desperately to make it inside before it's too late. Meanwhile, inside the village, no one can find her, causing panic among the villagers. Takumi reassures them, promising that he won't let a single villager be harmed. Back outside, Mani stands frozen before the monsters, unable to do anything. Just then, Takumi rushes to her rescue. She quickly warns him that many more monsters are approaching the village. Takumi confidently responds that they pose no real threat. At that moment, his warriors arrive and report that they have already dealt with the monsters with ease, as they weren't even worthy opponents. Takumi congratulates them. Mani notices that Takumi's hand has been injured, scratched by a bush wolf's claws. Feeling guilty, she apologizes, but Takumi reassures her that he won't let anyone harm the villagers. He wants them all to live peacefully. Impressed by his kindness and noble heart, so different from any noble she has ever known, Mani offers to become his servant, just as he had once wanted. Takumi happily accepts her offer, overjoyed that she is joining them. The rest of the group warmly welcomes her. Meanwhile, in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, the king receives a written message from the Kingdom of Triaria regarding Takumi's fortress town. It mentions that the fortress has a solid castle built on undeveloped lands near the Kingdom of Barcola. Additionally, they have reported that Bolton has sent his stationed knights to live in the village with Takumi. This news enrages the king. At that moment, Elizabeth arrives, declaring that they cannot allow the Kingdom of Barcola to do as they please. The ones who should dominate this continent must be none other than the Holy Empire of Sidonia. Back with Takumi and his companions, he tells them that they will use this path for trade, so perhaps it would be best to expand it a little. Mani then arrives with their lunch, having prepared a great feast for them. However, while eating, they suddenly sense an eerie and unfamiliar mana. Takumi recalls the words of the Saintess, who had told him that he had been sent 1 year before the summoning of the heroes. Realizing that exactly 1 year has passed since his arrival, he understands they have finally come. And that's where today's episode ends. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any new content.
Our episode today begins with that queen, or perhaps the king's daughter, speaking to the heroes and saying to them, "Rejoice, heroes, the time has come for everyone to know you. The battles ahead may be very fierce." They said to her, "Leave it to us. We will boast and prove that we are the heroes of the Holy Sidonia Empire." Then we see Akane sad, and her friend asks her, "What's wrong, Akane? You don't seem to be involved in the match." She said to him, "It's nothing, I'm just a little tired." After that, the scene moves to the village built by Taku on the borders near the city of Bolton, which was named Wedgeforth by the governor. The road to Bolton was built perfectly, and all traveling merchants and station soldiers have taken this beautiful road. As for the villagers living here, they learned from Bolton's craftsmen while building their homes and starting blacksmithing. And as for the crops, they are growing steadily and have already begun to resemble a real town. It seems they are living a beautiful, happy, and simple life. The scene moves to Sophia fighting monsters, while Kichib and the Rockman are hunting a rare monster they have never seen before. Here, Sophia realizes that it is a shrub lizard, a very dangerous lizard. After that, they return home and talk together about those monsters. They believe that monsters from nearby areas have started moving directly towards them, and they wonder why they are doing that suddenly. Here, Sophia analyzes the matter, but in the end she has no evidence. Based on inaccurate information, she believes that an unusual fluctuation of mana that we felt 3 months ago may be the reason for that. After that, Taku speaks to his messenger and says to him, "Is there anything new in the city?" He told him that there is a rumor spreading from person to person that heroes have appeared in the Holy Sidonia Empire, and this was about 3 months ago. This means that Nolan's prophecy about the appearance of the heroes was correct. In the evening, they hold a meeting while drinking tea and talking about this matter. What does it mean if the appearance of the heroes in Sidonia was assassinated? Taku believes that they used forbidden magic and summoned the heroes themselves. I hope that those who were summoned are good people. The scene quickly moves to the king speaking to the heroes as he relies on them in their journey. Then a slight quarrel occurs. While a hero was looking at that girl and found that she was one of the slaves, he said to her, "Why are you coming with me?" Here, Akane speaks, "Leave her alone. Lulu is my companion," he said to her. "How can she be your companion when she is a slave?" She told him that it was none of his business. We return again to Taku when he went to the guild and inquired about the heroes. The guild boy said to him, "We heard that there are 2 young men and a small woman, all with black hair and black eyes, who have become the heroes. Rumors say that they are not fake. They have fighting abilities, they train day and night. But let's get to the point. The Babak company has asked your group to guard them and accompany them to the royal capital." Taku agrees to the offer. Then they leave for home and prepare the supplies. And Maria offers that the maid go with them, so she doesn't stay alone. Also, Sophia comes and says to him, "Yes, Taku, I appreciate Mani's feelings." Taku thinks, and Mani pleads with him and says to him, I can use supernatural abilities too, please take me with you. Taku agrees after those tearful looks and asks her to work with Maria or Riva, but he must register her in the guild first. We return again to the heroes as they ride the carriage and move on their way to kill monsters. But they are very annoyed. The road has many bumps and they want to buy a slightly modern carriage because the road is long. But they can't do anything now but remain silent until they reach their destination. Maybe they will meet Taku in the capital. On the other hand, we see Takumi, Sophia, and Mani in the guild, and the guild girl tells her that Taku and Sophia will be promoted to rank A and Mani to rank D. Then she takes their cards to renew them and update them on the system. At that moment, the heroes, as they call themselves, enter and say, "Make way, make way." One of the guild adventurers objects to them and says, "Who are you? I haven't seen you before." Here, one of them punches him in the stomach, a strong punch without any introductions. Then they say, "There is an elven girl with big ears. Come on, white-haired boy, hand over those girls to us." Taku refuses their offer, so they get very angry and say to him, "Do you think you can disobey us?" Here, Akane rebukes them and says, "That's enough. You are insensitive and tasteless. Don't embarrass yourselves any further." But they didn't listen to her. Then he draws his sword against Takumi, and here Taku gets angry and uses his skills and breaks his sword with ease. The fool who calls himself a hero is surprised by that power, while the other one wants to hit him, but Taku grabs him and slams him to the ground. They say to him, "You fool. I think opposing heroes in the world won't have dire consequences for you." Here, Taku speaks with a calm mind and says, "Who of us will have dire consequences? Me or you? Do you mean what it means to draw a sword and intimidate a person from the Adventurers Guild?" Here, they are silent and leave the place and say to him, "We won't forget you." While Akane comes and apologizes to Taku and says to him, "I apologize for them." He said to her, "You don't have to apologize." From the Infutsi, Eve Sasutali, then she introduces herself and says to him, "What's your name?" He told her that he is the leader of the Nolan Wings Takumi. Here, Akane recognizes him. She wanted to speak, but he closes her mouth with his finger and whispers in her ear, "I am in a hotel called Lakeside Bank. If you want to talk, come there tonight." While the scene moves when they returned home, Sophia tells them that they met the heroes, but they are mentally disturbed. They are always babbling about the term hero, 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 as they were looking at me and Mani with bold eyes. It seems they want to rape us. But the woman who was with them was respectful. While we see Akane trying to go to the hotel, but there are people following her. He and Sophia tell them that they met the heroes, and they are very impressed. But Sophia tells him that they were deranged and foolish. They are tarnishing the term hero. They were also giving them suspicious looks, but the woman with them seemed respectful. Then Takumi said that he told Akain that they would be staying at this hotel, but perhaps that was reckless of him. The girls told him that they were with him and would help him with anything. Then we see Akane with her assistant, disguised, as they were fleeing from unknown people who wanted to kill them. At that moment, Sophia came to them and killed the people who wanted to attack Akane. Then she told Akane that the hotel where Takumi was staying was right after this alley. Then she took them to Takumi and they told him what happened. Akane thanked them for what they did for her. Then she spoke with Takumi and asked him if he was a descendant of the Japanese person who was summoned here. Takumi replied and told her that he could not let the information leak to Sidonia. Akane swore to him that she would not tell anyone. Takumi replied that he was Japanese like her, and the reason he was here was related to all of them. No one understood his words, so Takumi decided to tell them, as it was no longer logical to hide this matter, but he asked them all to keep this matter a secret among them. Then we see the heroes talking about Akane and her assistant who suddenly disappeared, so they should cancel their upcoming visit to Romalia and return to Sidonia, and they should review their plans at a later date. Then we return to Takumi and the girls after he told them that he came from the same world as the heroes and that he was here because of Nolan. Then he tells them that he knows that they all accept this matter very easily, but he is very confused. Akane understands that the Holy Sidonia Empire is the main villain, and the summoning spell is what caused such a severe fluctuation in mana, and this has negatively affected this world. Takumi says that he has found a place for himself in this world, he just wants to live a peaceful life. But Sidonia's hero summoning is causing a problem. Sophia asks him if he thinks they are planning to wage war with other countries. He replies that it is possible they will do so, but even if they are heroes, he does not think they are capable of waging war on their own. Akane replies that the Empire will use the heroes to incite people. Takumi agrees that they will do that, as this is more logical, although if this allows the expansion of the Church of Light's influence, this exposes them to greater danger. Akane apologizes to them for getting them all involved in this. Takumi replies that they have all fallen victim to this, but he wants to know why her friends are acting this way. She replies that Akira and Yamato were not like this at first. Since they came here, their personalities have changed to an unnatural degree. Sophia asks her if she thinks something has happened to them. They should have secured food and drink first. She replies that she did not trust Sidonia from the beginning, so she always used purification magic before eating or drinking anything. But those two prioritized their swordsmanship skills, so they neglected to raise their light magic levels. Takumi understands that they might have put a drug in their food and drink, as they were brainwashed. Akane begs him to save her, her assistant, and Lulu, as she was waiting for any chance to escape. Even if he took her to another country, she would still be pursued, and the collar Lulu wears is proof of her contract. He then uses Dispel magic on the collar, removing it from Lulu's neck. Lulu is sad because she has nowhere to go, as she never wants to leave her mistress Akane. Next, Akane reassures her that she will stay with her, but not as a slave or under a contract as before. She wants her to be by her side as a friend. Takumi tells them that they will head to his mansion in Bolton, as he cannot abandon his fellow countrymen. Akane refuses, so as not to cause them any trouble, but Takumi insists, and they must leave the royal capital as soon as possible. Takumi takes them to his mansion, where he provides them with food to eat. When Akane eats, she cries a lot, and the girls think it wasn't tasty, so they apologize, but she tells them it's very delicious, as she thought she would never be able to eat delicious food again. She finishes eating, and Takumi looks at her, certain that she has been nervous since she was summoned here. So after tasting the home-cooked food, she finally manages to relax a little. Then we move to Sidonia, where we see many monsters attacking the town. We return to Takumi, who tells his friend Riva that he plans to talk to the king through the governor about Akane and Lulu tomorrow, since they will be safe here at the mansion for a while. He then asks her to call Sophia and the others for him. When Takumi gathers with them, he tells them that from this moment on, he will dissolve everyone's contract so that they are not exposed to any greater danger. Sophia gets angry at him for his words, so he tells them that this time it's different. Later, he wants them to be by his side in a different way, as he wants them to be his family, not his servants. A year ago, he met Sophia and Maria, and 6 months ago, he met Riva and Mani. They have all done wonderful things for him, and he is grateful to them. Therefore, he sees that they no longer need any contract between them, because there is a stronger and more solid bond between them. He wants them all to support him as his partners. Takumi uses Dispel Magic on them, then tells them that he is happy to have them with him as always. Takumi then goes to work, and an emergency summons comes from the guild, requiring all B rank and higher adventurers to gather at the guild as soon as possible. Takumi decides to go there, and thus ends today's episode. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. Our episode today begins as Taku and Sophia head to the Lion's Fang Guild to meet with the guild leader. He informs them of a serious problem. A horde of monsters is rushing towards the town of Widgefort. Some say they were lured there, or perhaps drawn in by the presence of people in Widgefort. Commander Doran has requested their help, as all other teams are currently on other missions. There's no one else available, only Taku can take on this mission. However, the guild's vice leader interjects, explaining that 3 teams will be handling the task: Nolan's Wings, the Lion's Fang, and the Crimson Rose. The leader of the Crimson Rose introduces herself, Miranda. Then, a rather feminine-looking man wearing earrings steps forward. His name is Perole. There's also a beautiful girl named Miri, and their healer, Paula. She acknowledges having heard of Nolan's Wings, and Sophia introduces herself as well. The guild leader then gives the order. Taku will go along with the Lion's Fang and the Crimson Rose. The scene shifts to Nolan's Wings riding in their vehicle, heading toward Widgefort. Meanwhile, Akane and Lulu remain behind at the castle, with Titan assigned to guard them. Taku speaks to Sophia, showing her a sacred sword, Amaterasu, which he recently reforged. He explains that it's made from Orica, which they obtained from that dungeon. He asks Sophia to wield it, saying it's incredibly powerful. He then looks at another sword and adds that it too is immensely strong and capable of cutting through anything. If they can execute a series of coordinated attacks using both swords, their strategy should be highly effective. Sophia takes the sword, replying, "It's an honor." Now, everyone gathers as they finally reach their destination. The towering walls ahead are formidable, meaning only a few monsters would be able to scale them. However, things take a turn for the worse when they spot winged creatures, monsters capable of flying over any obstacle at high speed. Meanwhile, horned hounds are attempting to climb the walls, but the soldiers are managing to fend them off. A fierce battle erupts. Everyone is striking left and right. Camellia unleashes her power, blowing up multiple monsters. The 3 teams coordinate their attacks perfectly, fighting as if they were a single unit. After hours of intense combat, exhaustion sets in, but thanks to their efforts, they manage to defeat all the monsters. However, something strange happens. The remaining creatures begin retreating into the forest. It's odd because they're all moving in the same direction, as if being guided by something or someone. Taku thinks for a moment and says, there must be a leader among the monsters directing their movements. Maybe it's possible. When Lady Dunia summoned the heroes a few months ago, we sensed a massive fluctuation in mana. Could that have caused some monsters to evolve? I mean, the mana surge could have been strong enough to trigger such a transformation. What will happen next? Keep watching until the end to find out everything. The scene now shifts to the Holy Empire of Dunya, where they learn about the rampaging monsters attacking the fortress near the kingdom of Barakola. A man reports to the king, stating that the number of monsters is enough to wipe out an entire nation, and the resulting chaos could shift the balance of power between the kingdoms. The king contemplates the situation and sees an opportunity. Supporting these monsters could work to their advantage. Without hesitation, he orders the preparation of his troops for deployment as soon as he gives the command. His daughter then steps forward and says, "Father, why don't we seize this opportunity to inflict damage on the nations allied with Barakola?" The king looks at her and replies, "Are you suggesting we target the kingdom of Samandor?" She nods. "We should cripple them so they won't be able to aid Barakola when the time comes. We must strike first, with our great heroes leading the charge." Meanwhile, in the fortress, wounded soldiers are being treated, but their numbers are greater than expected. Sophia stands atop the stronghold, surveying the battlefield, her face clouded with worry. Just then, her friend approaches, bringing her a meal, but notices her troubled expression. "What's wrong?" she asks. Sophia sighs. "I'm really worried about Takumi. He's giving every last potion we have to the wounded, and now we have none left in storage. Even the last batch we had was handed over to Bobbitt Company days ago. We haven't had time to produce more." She recalls a conversation with Takumi when he had told her, "Potions are worthless if they aren't used, Sophia." She had protested, "At least keep some for yourself. If the monsters attack, you'll need them." But Takumi had simply smiled and said, "I just need to avoid getting hurt. As long as I manage my stamina well, I'll be fine. My concern isn't for myself, it's for everyone else." That was Takumi, always putting others before himself, a true man of honor. She also remembers his orders from earlier. Gather all the children in one place and don't let them out. Rifa, Mani, and Kolg will be in charge of protecting them. Back to the battlefield. The situation worsens. The forest erupts into chaos as an unstoppable wave of monsters emerges. The teams brace themselves. They are ready. Camellia rallies them, shouting, "Attack with full force! Leave no monster standing!" The Crimson Rose takes the right flank, while Takumi's team secures the left. Lizard-like creatures attempt to climb the walls, but Kaede is there to cut them down. Sophia charges forward, unleashing a massive whirlwind attack. But something is off. The monsters just keep coming, wave after wave without end. Then, suddenly, they begin retreating. But it's not a retreat out of fear, it's an organized withdrawal. And then they see it. A monstrous beast, huge beyond imagination, slaughtering its own kind as it emerges from the forest. The teams freeze in horror. And then, another creature steps forward. This one with two massive heads. It roars and unleashes a fiery breath directly at Sophia. She barely dodges in time. "That must be their leader," she mutters. Before she can react, the beast swings its tail at her, hitting her with immense force and sending her flying. As it prepares to land a finishing blow, Takumi appears at the last moment, saving her just in time. "If only Titan were here," he mutters. Sophia quickly regains her footing and starts running, luring the monster away. A massive lizard pursues her at full speed. But just when she thinks she's gained distance, the lizard leaps and delivers a devastating strike, sending her crashing to the ground. Her sword falls from her grip. The situation has spiraled out of control. Just as the monster prepares its final attack, the rest of the team unleashes their combined power, saving Sophia in the nick of time. When Sophia falls to the ground, Takumi rushes toward the dragon and uses the Thunder Hammer spell. Sophia gets up and helps him cast the spell. After that, Takumi takes the sword from Sophia and pours all of his mana into it, then slays the dragon. After the battle, Takumi decides to treat Sophia's bruises. He then scolds her for being reckless. She tells him that she just wanted to protect him at any cost. Frustrated, he yells at her, saying she could have died before Maria and the others arrived. He tells her she shouldn't throw her life away for someone else. After treating her wounds, he collapses from exhaustion, and they take him home to rest. When he wakes up, everyone gathers around to check on him. After several days, they return to Bolton after helping the village rebuild. Then, we see the heroes slaughtering the villagers, leaving the entire village in a state of panic. Later that night, Takumi and the girls prepare and eat dinner. Except for Sophia, who sits alone, looking sad. Her friends grow worried since she has been like this ever since they returned from Wedgefort. When Takumi notices her, he takes a plate of food and approaches her. Upon reaching her, he apologizes for yelling at her, but he explains that she could have died at any moment. She tells him that she wanted to protect him no matter what. Takumi thanks her, but asks her not to throw her life away like that. He reminds her that they rely on each other and should continue to do so. Then, he tells her that he wants her to live and stay by his side. Sophia agrees, and at that moment Akane and Kana arrive to give them more food. A few days later, Takumi takes Akane and Lulu to visit the governor and asks if they can stay in his palace for a while. The governor agrees and then informs him about a massacre in a village within the kingdom of Samandor. He also reveals that the ones responsible were none other than the heroes of Sidonia. Akane becomes anxious, realizing that she will inevitably face them one day. But this time, she won't run away. Later, Takumi meets with the Saintess Nolan, who tells him that there was a reason she sent him a year before the heroes were summoned. The heroes, and Sidonia, are constantly intertwined with his fate. Nolan tells him that everything depends on him and that he must protect what is dear to him in this world, no matter the cost. She reminds him that he has the power to build and create whatever he desires, and that he loves the life he has now. Takumi then gives her plenty of sweets, which makes Nolan extremely happy. She warns him that the road ahead will not be easy. He is Midgard's last hope. She tells him that she is counting on him, and that he has the potential to become the greatest alchemist in this world. And with that, this anime comes to an end. Stay tuned for more anime content. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell.